Right, Trouble, say good morning. Let us begin. We are picking up in Mirz Hashem this morning in Os Chaf Tes in Tzidkas Hatzaddik. I sent out the newest Os in the WhatsApp chat yesterday. So Os Chaf Tes. So writes the Rebbe. It's actually quite a beautiful piece. He explains Mitchila who Churban. I'm sorry. Os Lamed. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yes, Os Lamed. I'm sorry, starting with Os Lamed today. Av Maisa Sheina Haguna Be'etzem, Kol Shehi Haguna Kafi Machsheva Sa'odna V'hi Maisa Mitzvah. So actually, let's begin in the Be'urei Chasidus. If you look towards the bottom of the page, so you see the Rebbe writes as follows: Behemshech HaGemara. Remember, all of this is being quoted from the Gemara in Meseches Berachos, Daf Gimel. So up until now, he was quoting the Gemara dealing with the Mishmoros, the various watches. So the next part of that Gemara tells an incredible story. Behemshich HaGemara Dila'el HaMisa'eres Es HaShago Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kivyachol Ala Galus B'Shlosha Mishmoros Halayla Muvaz Brayse V'Zel Lashonam. So right after the Gemara discusses the three different watches, the Gemara tells a story. Amar Rabbi Yossi, Pam Achos Hayisi Mahalich Baderech. One time I was traveling on the road. V'nichnasti l'chorva Achos me'chorvos Yerushalayim. And I went into one of the ruins of Yerushalayim. Kedei lehispalo. And I did so in order to daven. Ba Elio Zachor Latov, V'shamar li al ha-Pesach. So Elio waited for me by the entranceway of the ruin. What happened? V'himtin li ad shesiyamti tfilasi. He waited for me until I finished my tefillah. La'achar shesiyamti tfilasi, va'amar li b'ni, mipnei ma nichnas l'chor vazu. After I finished my tefillah, Eliyahu Hanavi asked me, he said, tell me, my son, why did you enter into this ruin? Remember this Gemara from Meseches Berachos. Why did you enter into the ruin? Amarti lo hispalo. I said to him, Rebbe, I went in order to daven. Va'amar li, haya lecha lehispalo baderech. Eliyahu Hanavi said to me, well, the truth is, you should have davened on the road. Va'amarti lo, I said back to Eliyahu Hanavi, misyari hayisi shama yafsiku bi over drachim. I was nervous that if I davened on the road, I would be interrupted by travelers, by people passing by. Va'amrli, hayilachal hispalal tefillah kitzara. And it was then the Eliyahu Hanavi told me, you know what? Then you should have davened a shortened Shemona Esrei. Remember again, I both say this is where the Gemara gets into Havinein, a shortened form, a truncated form of Shemona Esrei. Okay, so I'll say so that's the exchange. That's the exchange between Rabbi Yossi and Eliyahu Hanavi. So I'm in the Be'urei Chasidus left-hand column. Harei shehimtin lo ha-Pesach ad shesiyem es tfilaso. Barakli achar shesim es tfilaso, hochiach oso ama shenichnas lechurva, va'amar lo, shahaya adif lo lehispalel bihiyoso v'derech tefillah kitzara. So we'll say, so it's interesting over here, something very fascinating. Now, Hatzaddik is raising a kasha that the truth is, when he asks it, it's so obvious. Obviously, Eliyahu Hanavi, well, look what he writes. He says, so Rabbi Yossi goes into the churva, he's davening. Eliyahu Hanavi waits for him to finish davening, and then Eliyahu gives him musar. He rebukes him, quote unquote, rebuke sounds like a strong word. He explains to him that really what Rabbi Yossi did was really incorrect. He shouldn't have gone ahead and gone into the ruin to daven. Instead, he should have davened a shortened Shemona Esrei, a truncated Shemona Esrei, by the side of the road. So says Reb Tzaddik something amazing. There's a very important lesson that we learn from here, which is if I see someone doing something that is not really correct and not really the ideal way that something should be done, al pi haTorah, based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's instruction, when ultimately, again, the action is appropriate in the eyes of the person who is taking it. Kilomar, sha'adam osas ha'pu'ula, she'ino ru'uya, choshev shumaisa ra'i v'tov v'shemitzah lasoso. So we'll say, so just follow this. When I see someone doing something that is really not correct, not navera, but I see someone that's doing something, but it's not really correct, he's not really doing it in the way that he should be doing it, but in the eyes of the person performing the action, he thinks that he is fulfilling the Ratzon Hashem, right? Reb Tzaddik. He says, V'hi be'etzem ma'aseh mitzvah, and what the person is doing is not wrong. The person is performing a mitzvah just not the mitzvah the way it's supposed to be done. The person just not performing it in the ideal fashion. Because the person should have done the mitzvah in a better way. Ein lanu limnoa mimenu. We see from here, says Reb Tzaddik, that ultimately, again, you should not stop the person from performing the particular mitzvah. Now, what does this mean? So it says Reb Tzaddik, Kid mashma me'asipor dila'el me'Eliyahu hanavi shehimtin l'Rabbi Yossi b'Pesach ha'chorva ad shesiyim es tfilaso v'lo minao tekev me'lehispalo sham. So this is fascinating. It says Reb Tzaddik, what's intriguing about the story of Rabbi Yossi and Eliyahu hanavi? Why didn't Eliyahu hanavi stop Rabbi Yossi from going in and davening in the first place? Why didn't he just stop him? It's interesting. It's like Rabbi Yossi goes into the churva, Eliyahu hanavi is there, Eliyahu hanavi waits for Rabbi Yossi to emerge, and then he sees what Rabbi Yossi is doing, and then when Rabbi Yossi emerges, he says, by the way, what you did was not really right. So why not just stop him to begin with? Why not just prevent him from going in, or maybe even interrupt him in the middle of a Shemona Esrei, if you feel that at the end of the day what he's doing is incorrect. So says Reb Tzaddik, because what Eliyahu was saying to Rabbi Yossi is, you don't go into a chorva, you don't go into a ruin to daven at all. But since Rabbi Yossi's intentions were pure, he went into the ruin in order to daven, so that no one should bother him when he was davening. So I will say what Eliyahu hanavi appreciated over here was purity of intent. Rabbi Yossi had pure intentions, right? His intentions were to go ahead and daven, to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He made a mistake. So he thought that it's better to go into the ruin, daven uninterrupted in the ruin, than to go ahead and daven a shorter Shemona Esrei by the side of the road. So because he had this purity of intent to go ahead and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Eliyahu hanavi did not interrupt the Shemona Esrei. It's only afterwards that Eliyahu hanavi says, by the way, what you did, don't do that again. That's really not the ideal. He goes ahead and he says, Aval be'emes im hayar Eliyahu omer l'Rabbi Yossi la'avar sham u'ma shamar Eliyahu hayar l'chali misvala b'derech shemashma midvarav shehayar sham makom panui sheyachol lehispalo efshar lefarish sheratza lomar shehayar lo lechapes makom panui kishayar b'derech kodem shenichnasto l'churva. So we'll say, what Reb Tzaddik is really highlighting over here is something really dramatically amazing, which is that although technically speaking, Eliyahu hanavi could have maybe prevented Rabbi Yossi from going in, or he could have interrupted Rabbi Yossi in the course of davening to tell Rabbi Yossi that what he's doing is inappropriate. Eliyahu hanavi allowed him to finish up his tefillah, and only afterwards did he say to him, by the way, what you did wasn't really correct. There's a better way to go ahead and do things. And Reb Tzaddik says, you see from here something dramatically amazing, that there are times to intervene in someone else's behavior, and then there are times to simply let things go. When a person is going ahead and doing something that is not wrong, but it just could be done better, so says Reb Tzaddik, sometimes it's better just to leave the person alone, let them do their thing, and at the right opportune time, you'll give them the proper feedback. But say, this is really an incredible yesod, because at different times in life, we have to point out to people what it is that what they're doing is incorrect. You have to give a little bit of musar. I don't mean musar like a fiery rebuke. I just mean like a little bit of constructive feedback. So some people love to give constructive feedback about every single thing. They always have a critique. They always have a criticism. They'll always tell you how you could do things better in each and every way. Generally, most of us try to avoid people like that because no one really likes to get constant critiques. Most people don't like that. So says Reb Tzaddik, and by the way, it's an incredible yesod in terms of parenting also, right? When does a parent choose to say something to a child versus when do you just leave it alone? So Reb Tzaddik says There's such a profound message that comes out of here. Eliyahu Hanavi sees that Rabbi Yossi is doing something that's really, it's not good, meaning it's not ideal. He's davening, but he's not really davening in the right place. He's not really davening in the right kind of tefillah. There's a better way to do it. Yet, Eliyahu Hanavi does not stop Rabbi Yossi in his tracks. He doesn't tell Rabbi Yossi, stop it right now. He lets him finish the davening, and then when it's over, he finds an opportunity to go. And also, if you notice, probably even when it's over, it's not like Eliyahu Hanavi just immediately launches into the Musar. There's a conversation. There's a discussion. Shalom alecha Rabbi, Shalom alecha Rabbi Umori. By the way, why did you go into the Churva? Eliyahu Hanavi knows what he was doing. He knew why he was entering into the Churva. But there's a discussion. And then when the discussion ensues and there's an opportunity to give proper and constructive feedback, that's when Eliyahu Hanavi tells Rabbi Yossi, by the way, next time, better to do things a little bit differently. So therefore, say such an incredible yesod. How many relationships are ruined because people with good intentions want to give feedback to someone, but the way they come off is so intense, and the way they come off is so caustic, and it's just not the right timing, and I feel like you're nitpicking, So here Hatzaddik says, sometimes if someone's doing something and it's not wrong, it's just not being done exactly the right way, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And if the opportunity presents itself later on to go ahead and give that proper feedback, then take that opportunity. But as long as, obviously, if I see someone committing a Maisa Avera, that's something different. But if I see a person doing something that is okay, just not great, not the way it should be done, so be wise in terms of how you choose to give that particular feedback. Because also we all know that there could be nothing more incredible than positive, constructive feedback, but only if given in the right time and in a constructive fashion. Says Hatzaddik, who do we learn this from? None other than Eliyahu Hanavi and his interaction with Rabbi Yossi. All right, we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up Emir Hashem with Sif Lamed Aleph tomorrow. Shekayach.